It's always funny when people are like, "Oh, you're the Paul Pierce." I'm like, "Yes, but not the person you want to autograph from."
So I hear you're fresh back to work, maybe from having a new addition to your family?
Yeah. So my wife, Carolina, and I welcomed a new son, Cameron James.
Oh, yeah.
First kid for us, and so we're really excited to welcome him to our family. He's going to be a third generation Jayhawk, so you already know the deal on that.
Yep.
I love this place. I love being here, and to be back in my my old stomping grounds and my professional role now in the athletics department is a dream come true.
What have you been charged to do in this new role?
Yeah, so really the purpose of the role is to create diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, so DEIB infrastructure throughout our athletics department. In addition to our student athlete programming, we have our inclusivity infrastructure related to hiring, recruiting, retention of our marginalized community members. One of the programs that I am head over heels about is our McClendon Leadership Initiative.
Wow. Tell me more.
Yeah, it's basically it's a pathway program for BIPOC individuals to get in college athletics.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Really proud of that. We started it in 2021 with just a handful of individuals, and with a collaboration with Adidas, who gives us the resources to finance these young people. They're all rising stars, fresh out of school, have their bachelor's or master's degrees, and get hands-on experience in our athletics department.
To me, the shared experience that we have is that, we're just making and putting in the work to really create equitable spaces for all Jayhawks to thrive. How have you been able to shift culture within the Kansas Athletics Department as it relates to DEIB? And I'm sure like your programming and different training efforts may require you to, approach the work differently based off of your audience. And
Sure.
So could you just talk about how do you approach that work in your field?
Yeah, from an athletics standpoint, the young people that we serve in our athletics department have a wide variety of identities, right? And they're all intersecting identities too. And so we try to be intentional about creating an infrastructure where we create, whether it's physical space for our student athletes, coaches, and staff, to be their true authentic selves, to have resources that can support their values and things that they are interested in accomplishing, but then also putting the resources to it, right? Like you can't talk about it, you got to be about it. So another program that we've done, for example, is called the Coach's Playbook, which is a resource guide and accountability structure for our head coaches to create conversations in their teams. And it's great, and we see that the byproduct of that are experiences like the Buck O'Neil Classic with baseball that we did last year at the Legends Field, or it's our Pride Night that we had with volleyball earlier this year.
Yes.
Domestic Violence Awareness Night with women's soccer, right? So we're really trying to make sure we have intersecting identities represented and celebrated, but also the education piece. What's great about sports is that it's always been the avenue for social change.
Yep.
Always.
I hear too that, it goes back to the saying, like it takes a village. That, in your role, you're not just relying on yourself to be the expert, but you're bringing different people to the table to help push forward the work that Kansas Athletics is doing, which is transformation. No,
thank you.
It is. I gotta give you your flowers. I have to give you your flowers. Why do you think that doing this work is important for like a Kansas Athletics department?
It's important in a lot of different ways. And honestly, it's important for our greater university, like you were mentioning, right? And athletics, we're a subset of the university, and we support the greater university drive. And so making sure that we can support that by putting accountable infrastructure in place. It's important because we need our student athletes, we need our fans and donors who come to games. We need prospective student athletes, professors. We need them to feel welcome on our campus. But also too, seeing it from a top-down leadership standpoint. Like you mentioned, our diverse leadership council, like they help us do all the work. And there's 30 of us, from former student athletes to current staff members, folks in the community. But when we have our all staff meeting, when we're talking to donors prospectively, Travis is having those conversations. Christian Toner, our deputy ADs having those conversations. Jason Booker's thinking about how we can create that intersectionality from an external standpoint, right? Like when you put marketing materials out about, hey, come celebrate the Jayhawks at David Booth Camps Memorial Stadium, and you say a diverse representation of our campus, I noticed that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it matters.
It matters.
Yeah.
So, it has to be holistic, and it has to be from executive leadership all the way down.
What has been maybe one highlight that you would like to share with us that has been transformational for you?
The big impact for me has been when prospective student athletes and their parents have came up and said something when they are on campus for visits. Wow. So, for example, last year we honored Tamika Dixon and Lamanna Squires with our Honoring Black Excellence Initiative.
Oh, wow.
Right? And we had, it was really cool Adidas jerseys and celebrated 2 Jayhawk greats for our men's and women's basketball programs. And during that, prospective student athletes like, hey, I can come to Kansas and know that there's resources here.
That can be me, yeah.
Right? I know I can be supported here. It happened again when football played against Oklahoma State, and we celebrated Melissa Peterson on field, and the First Nation Student Association, shout out, presented her with a star quilt. We had a native prospective football student athlete. Him, his mom, and his dad came over and said, we feel comfortable sending our son here, because we know he's going to be taken care of. We think about the intersecting identities and creating support infrastructure. So that is probably the one that gives me the most goosebumps.
Looking back, reflecting on your entire KU journey, what would you say, if you could pick one song that would describe your Jayhawk experience, what would it be and why?
I think it'd have to be something like, like This Is the Way I Live. Baby Boy Prince, one of those. I'm a little, we're seasoned.
Yeah.
So we're that's what we were bumping when we were at school here. But that's just a feel good song. It's just connecting with others, being the change that you want to see. The song is just a feel good song.